I never really paid too much attention to what my tax refund would be, just sort of got what I got. But now with Monarch, I'm able to see what that refund will be. And now I know I can allocate that towards the renovation I've been talking about. Monarch helps you see where your money's going and where your tax refund will have the biggest impact, because you want to make progress with your money, not just look back and wonder where it all went. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, investments, net worth, future planning, together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code DECORATING. Unlike most personal finance apps, Monarch is built to make you proactive, not just reactive. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple. Use code DECORATING at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com with the code DECORATING.
Buckle your seatbelt. Hi, I'm Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wilkness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks.
Today we're sharing our cheap thrills, aka easy, inexpensive ways to get that refresh that you need.
We're all on some sort of budget, and so these are just so great, and so many of these we've both done, Kelly, so I think these are definitely tried and true ways to really kick your home up a notch.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the simplest little thing, and maybe only you notice it, but that's okay because it's all about you, isn't it? In your home, you want it the way you want it, and sometimes just making a little tweak or a little improvement or switching something out or even just moving something around makes such a difference. If you do move furniture, do let your family or friends know so nobody tries to have a seat where there is no longer a chair and things like that.
Okay, Kelly, kick us off.
How about flipping your rugs around? You can flip some rugs completely over. It has to be a certain type of rug, obviously, if it has some sort of plastic coating on the opposite side. But some rugs, the way the weave is, it's a complete flat weave rug on one side, and then it's a little bit more tufted on the other side. You can actually turn the whole thing over, and it's a different look. Sometimes you'll come across a designer in a magazine, or maybe you've seen it in real life, where they'll use the opposite side of the fabric. Oftentimes it's a little more muted. Have you seen that, Anita?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely. Sometimes the designer does use the fabric upside down.
So you can do a similar thing with your rugs. You can try that. But if that's not going to work for your rugs because of the type of rug or the coating that it may have on the back, you can just turn them around, because oftentimes the way a rug is situated in a room, there's a path that people are walking over. So that's the area that gets a lot of traffic. It might be squished down or something like that. It might not look as fresh as the side that's perhaps tucked under the furniture or is in the area of the room where there isn't a pathway. So you can just rotate it around. It also helps with the life of your rug.
Well, you're right, because sometimes the sun is hitting part of it, or there are those pathways. Or maybe the dog got sick on a certain corner, and maybe that's better tucked under the sofa. So I think that's not a bad idea to, think about rotating those.
Have you been to my house recently?
Ooh, I have a few here.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great idea. How about painting old furniture for a fresh look? We are such a fan of painting a piece that just is looking tired and old. Now, I have a lot of furniture that is not painted. So we're not saying paint everything, but if there's something that you just don't like the color of, sometimes you get an old piece of furniture and it looks kind of orange. The stain maybe has not aged well with the polyurethane on it, and it's amazing what a fresh coat of paint will do. Or maybe it's painted and you want it a little different color. That gives so much life to a room.
And you can maybe use some paint that you actually have in the garage, some extra paint that's left over, so you don't even have to go out and buy a can of paint. Well, something you can do that we love to do, create a little vignette. That is really simple and fun to do, and you don't have to buy anything.
How about using some unique objects for artwork? Maybe, and I've also framed my daughter's baby dress on a wall. Some unique piece of, sometimes there's some beautiful scarves that are beautifully framed. So you could go that way. Maybe a really beautiful tapestry or something. You could hang that on the wall. There's so many unique things you can hang on your wall, unique to you, that would be so personalized that nobody else has that exact same thing.
Great ideas. I just saw a scarf framed, and it was House and Garden UK. It was a very large scarf. It had some drawings of horses on it. They framed it in a very simple gold frame and hung it behind the sofa. And it was spectacular. And apparently the woman had found it in a vintage store in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is a really horsey area. So it was all very special and lovely. And as you say, completely unique to her. Maybe it's a great time just to rotate your decor. That is a wonderful thing to do because it gives you an instant refresh, and it's fun to see your little friends that you have tucked back in there. You might forget you have something and take it out, use it in a different way, and then take the things that you currently have out that maybe been sitting there for a while and then put them away for a little while. I love rotating stuff out. Obviously, you're not going to do this every week. You have a busy life and things are going on. You don't necessarily have time to do this all the time. But if you do it seasonally or even once a year, take a look at your bookshelves. See if stuff is in there that maybe, you can switch out or change up a little bit, and use the things that you already have.
Painting wicker baskets or even wicker furniture. Now, I know I mentioned before painting furniture, but a lot of times people don't realize you can paint wicker too. And I actually bought some wicker chairs from Anthropology that were already painted this gorgeous color of blue, and they are so stunning. Now, were they just kind of the natural color, they would not have the pop in my room that they do with that beautiful blue paint.
Oh, yeah. And I would suggest spray paint. I mean, you all know I love spray paint, but you really want to get in all the nooks and crannies. So if you're using a wicker or a tan, I think spray paint's a great idea. And you definitely want to take the piece and turn it over and turn it on the right side and the left side and make sure that you get all the spots. Let it dry really well, and then go back and have another look, because you'll be surprised that there will be places where the paint just didn't make it. So you can have another run over it, and it should be great. I use maybe 2 cans. So if you're going to buy a spray paint, at least get yourself 2, maybe 3 cans. I would get an extra can than the amount you think you need, because the last thing you want to do is have your wicker chair or your wicker piece ready to roll, and then you realize that you've got some spots and they don't have that color in the hardware store anymore. How about adding a shelf over a door? Sometimes a hallway or just a non-interesting entryway to another room just needs a little help or bring your eye up a little bit. So you could put a shelf right on the casing of the door. Maybe you have little corbels on either side. You can buy a shelf very inexpensively at a Home Depot, or maybe you even have a shelf somewhere hanging around, or just a nice piece of wood. You can get some brackets, paint it if it's not painted already. I would paint it probably the color of the trim and probably in a semi-gloss, so it kind of blends in, because you really don't want the shelf necessarily to be the focal point. You want maybe the things you're putting up there being more the focal point. So maybe you lean an 8x10 little oil painting that you found in an estate sale or something like that. I wouldn't put too many things up there, and nothing too small because it's going to be up high, but it can be a really effective way to bring your eye up in a room and add a little bit of interest.
Well, I'll add a corollary to that, and that is to add a shelf just on your wall. Same thing, you can display a piece of art or a mirror there, and you just lean it against the wall. Now, if you have small children or you're concerned about it, you certainly can attach it at the top so that it's not going to fall off and hurt anybody. But that leaner is a nice look, and the beauty of it is once you put the shelf up, you're not having to worry with nails in the wall for your different heights of artwork. Because if you change out the artwork and it's different heights, typically you're going to have to move that nail up and down, because the bottom of the artwork usually you want in the same spot. So if you're using a shelf, you don't really have to have a nail in the wall, and the artwork is going to be always at the right height. So I think that's a great idea, Kelly. And my next idea is to add an oversized basket in your room to store your extra pillows and throws. And sometimes some of these are kind of chunky. So it's nice to have some storage in the room. And then that adds a beautiful look as well.
I did that several months ago. I had a wicker basket. It's a really nice size wicker basket. It was kind of in this little transition corner in the dining room that goes into our little side office. So it's kind of an awkward space, but it definitely looked like it needed something there. And I had a plant in there, and it was just a pain in the neck with the plant because it kind of, when it grew, which of course you wanted to, the leaves and the stems were kind of dangling over awkwardly. And then every time I watered it, I had to take it outside so it didn't want to get water on the floor. So I was like, not a great place for a plant. So I put a couple of pillows in there, and I thought, I don't know if I'm going to like that, just a pillow sitting there, but I love it. So I have 3 pillows in there, and then the front one is this small felted pillow that actually has the year that our house was built, 1886, on it. So it makes sense that it's in there, and it looks really nice, and you can change the pillows out, obviously, for the seasons.
I love that. I love that. So you've already done it, and it looks great in your house. So that is fantastic.
Outlet covers. Sometimes they just look cheap. Sometimes they get cracked. Sometimes those little corners and the areas where they connect to the actual switch get dirty. Sometimes if they're a toggle, the toggle goes missing. So if you've got dirty, cracked, discolored, mismatched, or just not so great looking outlet covers in your house, you can switch those out very inexpensively. I really am jonesing to change up all the outlets to do the push button or the push button and turn ones. Now it's going to be a little bit of an expense, so I've held off on doing it. But that is definitely on my long-term, when I get to it, list. But in the interim, I just switched out a white plate in my powder room because switch gets a lot of action. People are in and out of that kitchen powder room all the time, and it just didn't look so great anymore. So you just buy the cover. They're sometimes $1.69, something like that. So if you're living with ones that are used to be white, but now they kind of look yellow, or in any way they're not just looking their best, easy and inexpensive switch. This episode is brought to you by Pocket Hose, the world's #1 expandable hose. You all know I'm an avid gardener, and the garden hose is an essential tool. Once I tried the Pocket Hose copper head, I am never going back to a regular hose. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the copper head's pocket pivot swivels 360 degrees for a full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home and garden. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is back with a 10-year warranty. The Pocket Hose is a total game changer in my yard. For a limited time, our listeners can get a free pocket pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text DTT to 64,000. This is a text promotion, not a website. So it's DTT to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. DTT to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. From denim to dining tables, Quince has it all. I originally fell in love with Quince for their clothes, and now their home collection has that same energy and quality. Quince makes high-quality home goods that look expensive but are actually affordable. Rugs, pillows, throws, luxe linen, and natural textures. Quince has it all in abundance. And speaking of dining tables, I just got something to cover mine from Quince. It's the European linen fringed tablecloth. I love the casualness of the fringe. It just adds a little interest. I got it in the olive, but it comes in blue fog and natural as well. You may wonder how Quince is able to offer these incredible prices. Well, they work directly with safe, ethical factories and cut out the middleman, so you're not paying for the retail markup. Right now, go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's a full year to live with it and love it. And you will. Now available in Canada, too. Don't keep waiting to make your space feel like you. Go to Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT.
How about getting some digital artwork on Etsy? So you pick out what you want, and then usually you can choose once you've bought it, then you can print it out in whatever size you want. And this is a great way to have some inexpensive personal artwork. Now, you're only going to be able to print out the size that your printer allows, which is probably going to be an 8 by 10. But if it's a small space, that's going to be a good size for some artwork. And then you can really, the sky's the limit. It's just whatever you can print out, you can put on the wall. It's going to be a lot cheaper than buying the print itself and paying for the shipping to your house.
I have always been hesitant to do that. So I want to ask you some follow-up questions because there are some beautiful things out there and it seems so inexpensive. Sometimes, and maybe other people have had this experience, you're looking for a certain type of art or something on Etsy and it comes up and you're like, $4? Like, how could that be $4? And then you realize it's the digital print. Okay. So what do they do, Anita? They send you the digital print in some sort of PDF format or something?
I would think it would be a JPEG file, and it's going to be a high resolution file. So you're going to be able, and it may say this is going to be good up to X size. So you may have some limitations based on the resolution of the file that they have. And then when you go to print it, there's a variety of papers you can get. And, in the old days, you would go down to Staples or Office Depot, which you can still do, but now you can go on Amazon and pick out whatever kind of paper you want. So I would not print this on regular paper. You're going to want to print it on either maybe a glossy paper or even something that's kind of a linen look with some texture on it, or some other sort of special paper so that you're going to get the effect that you like. And yes, you can buy so many of these special papers at Amazon now.
Okay. Yeah, that was my follow-up question. You anticipated it. I thought, can you just stick one of those nice chunky texture typed paper in a regular printer? I guess you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've definitely done it for sure.
Okay, good to know. How about a runner on your table? It's not as expensive as a tablecloth. It's not a big commitment. Maybe you've got some folded up in a drawer somewhere. Pull them out. It's such a nice addition to a table, particularly if it's a long wooden table, because that's a long stretch of wood. And sometimes if you put something in the center, like a centerpiece, it looks a little lost because it's not grounded. You can kind of think of a runner as sort of like a carpet. Your furniture has the carpet as an anchor, so the runner is the anchor for whatever you're putting on your table, whether it's one centerpiece or something in the center with some candles on either side or a long dough bowl or something like that. It adds some more substance to whatever you're putting on the center of the table. So it just doesn't look like it's floating.
I so agree with you. And here's the thing. When you're in the dining room, a lot of times there's a wood floor, there's walls, maybe there's curtains, maybe there's not. Usually there's not a lot of fabric in there, and so there's a lot of hard surfaces. So putting that table runner on the table is going to make a big difference. And another thing you can do is go with a smaller tablecloth and turn it sideways. So the ends of your rectangular table are showing, the wood is showing on the sides, and then the tablecloth drapes down kind of a little bit long on the front and then in the back. And I think that's a lovely look, and I do that a lot with my tables. Another idea is to add a sconce to your wall. And I know what you're thinking. I don't want to call the electrician if it's an electric sconce, because now the expense just quadrupled. Mm-hmm. But what about buying an electric sconce that has the cord? And you can get them with the cord. Just, check before you purchase it. But because a lot of these do come with a cord, or it's an option one way or the other. And often the cord is a pretty decorative cord, and then you just plug it in. Just make sure that it's not too far away from that outlet when you put those on the wall.
Oh, yeah. And if you can have them where they're over a larger piece of furniture, then the cord can just come down, and no matter where the outlet is, even if you had to add an extension cord, you're not going to see any of it. So many companies make would you call it the corded cord or something, what we call it, the textured cord, the cloth cord.
Right.
The ones that sometimes they almost look like big fat baker's twine. They might have some red or some black or something like that. There's usually maybe 2 colors in there. I know IKEA is doing those and Rejuvenation has those. But that looks really nice. It's not just the plastic coated wire coming down the wall. And if you going to take that tip and use a sconce that's not hardwired, you can also get the metal channel, and that covers the plastic cord or any cord, and it just runs down from the bottom of the sconce. And then if it is behind a piece of furniture, you can just take it a few inches below that piece of furniture, and then you won't see it, and then the cord can just go over to the outlet. And you can get those at Lamps Plus. They have them in a lot of different metal finishes. So even if you don't buy the sconce there, you can probably find a metal channel that will match the metal on your sconce. I love that idea. And it might really change up the whole feel of that particular room or area in that room by adding another light, which leads me to change out your light bulbs. Oh, which is just a sad thing a couple of weeks ago that I used my last pink light bulb.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes. And while I love the state of California, they will not allow the pink light bulbs in anymore because we're really...
No.
I know. I'm just shedding a little tear. The incandescent is... No, it's verboten here. Let's just say, right?
Wow.
So we're not having incandescent. They're not going to let me bring in these pink bulbs. So, I kept doing it. I kept putting them in my cart at Amazon. And then I would go and say, why are they not sending me there? Will not send to the state of California. Okay. So if you can get them where you live, stock up, stockpile. I know I do so many nice things for the environment and I'm really conscious of it, but those pink light bulbs are really hard to live without. So.
Well, and really, I mean, come on, these fluorescent light bulbs, they're not environmentally friendly when you throw them out. They have some pretty toxic fumes in those. So I don't know why they think those are so good.
Well, I guess the idea is that it's a lot less electricity. Those other
but don't
LED
break
bulbs
it or, it
last.
could kill you,
Yes,
but whatever.
Don't break it. They last for forever. But I had to switch out a key table lamp to an LED, and it's just not right. And I've tried a bunch of different LEDs, and so I do have an LED selection if anybody needs some LEDs that I can give to you.
Harsh light. I mean, that's right. That's the other thing with the incandescent light. It was much more soothing to your eyes than a lot of these LEDs and compact fluorescent bulbs. And I remember working in an office, and the fluorescent bulbs gave me a headache. So these are not, they're not good for you. Anyway, but that's my talk about that.
So if your bulbs are incandescent and we're still talking wattage, and if the wattage is too high, so it's just too bright, or if the wattage is too low and you're not getting the right kind of light that you want, or if you just went ahead and purchased some LEDs, which is, good for you that you did that. And if they're just not the color quality, the light quality that you're looking for, there are better ones and they keep getting better. So I'm not going to give up, and you shouldn't give up either. So it's an easy thing. You can try some, maybe go to a lighting store. That's what I decided I'm going to do. I have these guys at the Pasadena lighting store that I use for my clients. I am going to go there and just talk bulbs with them and see how close I can get to that lovely pinkish glow that just makes the room looks great. It makes everybody look great. And it's really pleasing to put on, in the evening. It really gives off a nice glow. So I'm going to see if there's something that is non-incandescent that will get me close to those pink bulbs.
Wow. So is that illegal for you to buy them somewhere else and bring them in for personal use? Are they going to stop you at the state line?
Are you saying I should come visit you and then you'll buy me some and I can bring them back?
I'm asking for a friend.
I'm asking for a friend. Well, I guess if I got patted down, they might feel light bulbs on. If I had a big raincoat with light bulbs inside of it.
Maybe bring a truck. Bring a truck. You'll be fine. Yeah. So how about displaying things in threes?
Brilliant idea.
Because the odd number does seem to make a difference, and usually 3 is a great number to display things in, and there's just something magical about it, and it just is very pleasing to the eye.
Well, we have a whole episode on that, the rule of 3.
Oh, yes, I will link to that.
Here's a fun little thing that you might not think of. Again, along the lines of lamps, change your finials. If you have a lamp that has no finial and just a little plain flat top, well, buy a fun finial. They can really change the look of an entire lamp. There are some really pretty ones on Amazon. You can get them all over the place. You can go to your local lighting store. The lighting store that I just spoke about, they have a whole wall of finials. What a fun thing. You don't think about changing those all the time, but they can really make a difference. Maybe get one with some crystal, you can get a little sparkle in there, or you can get something that actually is shaped like something, like an animal or something like that. Something fun, pineapple, all sorts of things. So it can really jazz up a boring lamp.
I think that's a great idea. And while you're at it, you can change out your lampshade as well. So we've talked about paint a little bit, and I'm going to continue with my paint theme. Try painting your built-in cabinets another color. And I speak from experience. I just painted my cabinets actually a year ago in my living room, this beautiful shade of blue, and I am still in love with the cabinets. I think it was such a massive difference. I'm so glad I did it, and it really completely transformed the room. So maybe if you don't have cabinets in your living room, maybe you do have some built-ins in your study or somewhere else in your house. So just think about if you might enjoy them being a different color.
Why did buying glasses always feel so complicated and overpriced? Not anymore now that we have Warby Parker. Warby Parker is a game changer in the eyewear industry. Nothing comes close to their quality, price, selection, and customer service. Their virtual try-on is a total game changer. You can literally try on glasses from your phone before you buy. I recently went into one of their 300 retail stores. What a nice experience. So many glasses to try on. I ended up purchasing a pair of the Esme tortoiseshell sunglasses. They feel great on, and I've been told they look pretty good too. Warby Parker gives you quality and better looking prescription eyewear at a fraction of the going price. And our listeners get 15% off plus free shipping when they buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses at warbyparker.com/DTT. That's 15% off when you buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses at Warby Parker. That's WARBY Parker.com/DTT. And after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. So please tell them that we here at Decorating Tips and Tricks sent you. What if you followed that dream? What if you got over that fear? And what if you took a chance on yourself and opened that online shop you've been thinking about? We did, you should, and you can with Shopify as your partner. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all the e-commerce in the U.S. You can get started on Shopify with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. We were able to do just that with Shopify and really customize and beautify all the aspects of bespoke decor. And on Shopify, you'll get that iconic purple Shop Pay button, and it's used by millions of businesses around the world. That's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. And it also helps boost conversions, meaning less carts go abandoned and more sales for you. So it's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/DTT. Go to shopify.com/DTT. That's Shopify, SHOPIFY.com/DTT. And here's the tip for cheap thrills and a cheap refresh that I think is probably the most dramatic. Move your furniture around.
Oh, yes.
Whether it's room to room or within a room, try something new. And you may not like it, but you could try it. And I would leave it as it is the new move, for a little bit and live with it. Because change on all levels is hard. And sometimes when you change something, you immediately don't like it because it's just the idea that it changed. And other people that live with you might not like it because it's just different. But live with it for a little while because it might be good, or it might inspire you to make yet another little shift or another little move that might really be terrific. I have done this with so many clients. I do it with myself, my home, my rooms all the time. But with clients, people say, oh my gosh, like, I never would have thought about that, because you get used to where things are and how a room is set up. And it may not be the best way to arrange the furniture in that room. And maybe you have too much furniture in that room. So take some furniture out. So there you removing something, clearly not spending any money. Maybe you can even sell that thing and you can make some money on it, or you could put it in another room and it will work better there. And if you've got all your furniture smacked up against the walls, move it away from the walls if possible. I mean, if you're living in a teeny tiny little space and you can't do that, every inch counts, well, then you can't. But if you have any sort of space, breathing space in a room, you should be able to pull some of the furniture off the walls so everything doesn't look like it's being held hostage.
Okay, so my last one is to rearrange your bookcase. So you talked about rearranging your furniture and what a difference that can make. And think about your bookcase. Rearrange the things in your bookcase, and it's amazing what a difference that will make. And I think the best way to do it is just to take everything out. And if they're pretty overpacked, I would try to put back a lot less when you rearrange your bookcase.
So get to it. Refresh. Cheap thrills. We love a cheap thrill. So what are we defining today?
A Cheval mirror. And I'm sure you know what it is. It's a freestanding mirror swung in a vertical frame, and it's also called a dressing mirror or a Cheval glass. And I know everyone's probably seen these. They are the tall mirrors on a stand, and you can tilt them up or down. And sometimes they're in a fancy dressing room, and they're a fun thing to have in your bedroom for when you're getting ready.
Good to know. There are so many different types of mirrors, right? Now, we learned about this one today. There's the Trumeau. There's a lot of different types of mirrors. I think we have a question today. Is that right?
Yes. Jackie writes us, and she writes this. I know you've mentioned that it's no longer stylish to decorate the empty space between the top of cabinets and ceiling. But what can I do about that space? It's awkward and I don't like it looking cluttered, but I think it should be utilized in some way. I have an open floor plan and anyone sitting in my living room space can easily see that area. Okay, Kelly, you want to go first?
Jackie, resist the urge. Resist the urge. That's 3 words. That's what I have to say. It's hard for me to stick to just 3 words, so I'm going to add some things. We don't know exactly what your cabinetry looks like. We don't have pictures, and we don't know exactly how far it is off the ceiling. But chances are your cabinets go high enough, and you might even have some nice molding up there. It's okay for that area just to be plain and simple, and you just have the top of the cabinetry and some wall, and then you meet the ceiling. You do not have to fill it, right? There is no need to do that. It's going to look cluttered. I think it's going to take away from what's going on down below on your counter, in your kitchen, and particularly if it's open concept. You're going to see a lot of things. Your eye will be picking up different rooms. I'm using air quotes because they're not really rooms. It's all one room. So you're going to maybe see a dining area. You might even see a living area. Then you're going to see the kitchen. Maybe you have some pendant lights. Maybe you have some other lighting hanging down. There is no need to have anything above your kitchen cabinetry. I understand there is this tendency to want to fill all the space, but we have a great episode that I will draw your attention to. It's, what's it called, Anita? Learning to love negative space, or all about negative space.
Use negative space in a positive way, and I will link to it in the show notes.
What a good title we have for that one.
Who came up with that?
I don't know. But yeah, we'll link that for you to listen to.
Yes, I would agree with you, Kelly. And I think it's kind of like when you put all your Christmas stuff up, when you have it all sitting out and it looks so beautiful and festive, and the room looks very full. And then after Christmas, you put it all up, and a lot of people feel like the room looks too bare, and it's hard for them to be happy with the room because it just feels like something is missing. But I think you just have to get used to it. And it's kind of like when you were wearing flare jeans, and then they came out with the skinny jeans. And it just looked weird at first, but then it became the thing, and that's what everyone was wearing. And then, it you kind of got used to it and it looked okay. And I think that's what we're talking about here is take everything off and just try it for a while. And just remember, your house does need some negative space. It does need some empty space where nothing's going on, where your eye can rest. And if it looks weird to you, I would suggest that you go and look at some kitchens online and maybe some magazine sites, and you'll see that all of them have that space empty. And once you start seeing that this is really what other people are doing, I think you'll feel more comfortable with it.
So what's your crush?
Well, these are so pretty. I love hydrangeas, and I used to buy fresh ones all the time. Mixed results, because sometimes they don't last more than sometimes the stem, it just won't let the water up. So sometimes they don't even last more than a few hours when you get hydrangeas. And then I even tried some dried ones, and they don't hold their color for very long because they're dried. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to have to look at faux. And I went to Oka, because I do have one here in Houston, and the dark blue ones were stunning, and they looked real to me. I put them in my bedroom, and I can tell you they are amazing. I thought they were super beautiful. I'll link to them. $20 for each stem. Sometimes they go on sale, but worth every penny in my opinion.
And with the hydrangea, you're getting some nice fullness. Sometimes the faux flowers, and they're $20+ a stem, and it's just a tiny little blossom at the top. I would imagine your hydrangea is pretty full, so maybe you could get away with even just 3 in something.
Right. I think I went with maybe 7, but I mean, it is my vase is overflowing. I mean, it's chock full. So yes, I think you could get away with maybe 5, 3, maybe for a very small vase. Because like you said, they are so full, you really don't need anything else in the vase. So I think once you put them in there and that's all you've put in there, it's not that expensive.
Hydrangeas are so lovely. Yeah. And sometimes they are really a disappointment when you buy them, particularly if you're to buy them at the grocery store, because they maybe traveled or maybe sat in the bucket for a while and weren't really taken care of that well. If you're cutting them from your own garden, they'll probably last in the vase much longer. But you definitely don't want to crush the vase, even though hydrangeas tend to have a woodier type of stem. Don't make the mistake of hammering them. Sometimes that bad advice is passed around on the internet. That's not the way to do it. Just give it a nice, clean angle cut, as angled as possible, because the idea is to have the most open surface area for the water to go to the head.
Well, now, somebody said to use alum on the tips. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I've heard of that. And I think that is could be a little bit of a wives' tale. There's a lot of blog posts about that out there floating around. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's really just the luck of the draw on that. I think probably it worked for some people sometimes. I don't think it really does anything.
Interesting. Okay.
You definitely don't want to do anything that's going to block the water. What you said initially is absolutely what needs to happen. The water needs to come up the stem to get to the flower head. So you want to keep that water flowing. So you want to open up as much of the stem as possible. My crush is a movie that I absolutely loved. The movie is called Living. It's set in sort of the 1950s London. It's, I wouldn't say slow moving, but I do love a slower movie. I'm not about car chases and things like that. Yeah. But I don't think this is particularly slow, and I don't think I'd be giving too much away to say that the main character has something going on in his life, which then has him have a change of heart as to how he's going to spend his days, and he does something pretty special. That's pretty vague, right? I'm not giving anything away. It's a beautifully directed and acted film. The actor Bill Nighy is in it. He's great.
Love him.
Right? Isn't he fantastic? I mean, his face is so expressive. So one of the writers is Kazuhiro Ishiguro, and I'm not sure if I'm exactly pronouncing that right, but his other works are terrific as well. I highly recommend it. It is actually a remake of a 1952 movie And that was believe it was a Japanese movie called Ikuro.
Oh, sounds wonderful.
Great. So much fun today. I love a cheap refresh. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.